Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back. It is 9:35 a.m. Central African time, and we are still on the Indian continent. This time around, we'll be talking with someone from the Aligarh Muslim University. He is Feroze Mithiborwala, and it is about students being at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19. And we do know that the situation is pretty grim and dire on the Indian subcontinent. Feroze, Salaam Alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum Salam. Firstly, a little correction. I am not from the Aligarh Muslim University. I don't live in Aligarh. I've never studied in Aligarh. I'm from Mumbai. But I keep on appearing on your show for many other reasons. But I'm not from Aligarh, so the first matter to be clarified. Yes, carry on.
My apologies. I see you are an Indian activist who devotes his efforts principally to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and Western imperialism in Asia. I've been looking at the wrong caption. My apologies. So what are we talking about today? Is it the fight as an activist against the situation in India, or your obviously your support to the conflict in Palestine and other Western imperialism states?
No, essentially, I've been called to speak of the corona situation in India right now. So I am, because I have my own analysis about the situation in India and across the world. So we can talk about that. I don't want to change your topic for the day. I've been told to come to speak about the Aligarh Muslim University effort that the students and the doctors that are making. Many good people in India are fighting back against the corona crisis, and that story should be spoken about.
Now, obviously, we know that the Aligarh Muslim University is obviously supported fully by the Muslim community on the subcontinent. This despite the fact that the Modi government is very anti-Muslim. I think as Indian citizens, you look beyond all of that. As far as you're concerned, a life is a life, regardless of your color, creed, nationality, or religion.
Exactly. The point is that, again, Aligarh Muslim University is to do with India. It's not to do with the Indian subcontinent. We are now different countries. So this is about India. Of course, we need to move towards the South Asian Federation in the years to come. But as of now, far from that phase. The second thing, yes, all Indians are working very hard across caste free community because this is a national crisis. It has been managed very badly by the Modi government. It has been managed very badly by the medical establishment as well, because people have died due to two major reasons. One is India managed the first wave rather well. We had about 250,000 deaths during actually less, around 160,000 deaths was the death scenario in the first phase. So the death rate was low. And the first wave we managed by November, December last year. But again, the government was talking about a second wave. So if the governments were talking of a second wave in November, December last year itself, why weren't there enough hospital beds prepared? Why wasn't there enough oxygen? And why weren't there clear, why wasn't our main medical establishment called the ICMR, why weren't they clear about the kind of treatment that was to be given to the patients? So I'll explain what happened. In January onwards, we were told that the second wave is coming. Carry on with your mask and so on and so forth. Then in April, all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. People were rushing to hospitals, but there were not enough beds and worse, not enough oxygen. So people were dying outside hospitals, gasping for the breath, gasping for oxygen, and they were dying because of that. The second reason was that the treatment itself was so faulty that that led to other complications. Steroids were given immediately to patients, and now they tell us that steroids should be given in the second week. So it was like all trial and error was being done on the Indian people. Then 1 week we were told take ivermectin, then they would say that is not working. Then they would say take remdesivir. Then they would say that is not working. Then they'll come up with the third drug. And every time the drugs were mentioned, people would be running to hospitals and to chemists to buy those drugs. So a lot of black marketing even for oxygen cylinders, black marketing even just for oxygen, black marketing to get your hospital bed, black marketing in terms of injections and medicine that were required. So private hospitals, doctors, they made a killing in terms of killing people also, and just rooting people dry. And that is why you see that Modi is losing his popularity because he is part of this entire mess that has been created in our country. We are the only ones who are facing this problem. No other country is facing, not even our neighbors, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, nobody is facing the kind of crisis. Because in the first wave, Modi mismanaged the entire migrant labor question. One fine day on the 24th of March, he comes across and says, we are locking the country down. And nobody had any place to, especially the ones who are living in the slums of our cities. The migrant workers were coming in from different states. They had no money because they lived from week to week with their salaries. They had no money to pay for their food bills or their rent. And then there was no transportation provided. And they were told, no, you stay around in the cities, don't travel. So people started walking back 1,000 kilometers from Bombay to Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, which are mainly the states from where the migrant labor comes. So we saw catastrophe on the first wave that was again created by the Modi government. And in the second wave, we've again seen a catastrophe being created by the Modi government. So he has lost a lot of popularity, but in India, the media is totally corrupt and servile. They are just bought out corporate stooges of the Indian Modi government. And I don't even call him a government. It's essentially a junta. It's essentially a corporate cabal that is ruling our country.
Feroze, we do know that the Modi government is very anti-Islamic. Did you see a lot of discrimination against Muslim patients as opposed to preference for Hindu patients? Has that been happening? And then we've also seen a lot of television footage where bodies were dumped into rivers. What was that all about? Was that non-Muslim bodies that were being dumped?
No. Actually, this was the cases of discrimination in hospitals or otherwise against Muslims have been few and far between. I have not really come across any case, to tell you honestly. There may have been a case also, but I have really not.
Yes. That's a relief, is
because
it
I'm
not?
telling you, see, you don't judge all of India by a communal Modi, a fascist like Modi. He doesn't represent India. He represents one section of Indian society, which again is not the majority of Indian society. Let us keep that in mind. India is not Israel, so let us be clear if you are thinking on those lines. So the larger Indian population, be it Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Jain, Buddhists, or whichever religion, we have been living together for thousands of years together. Before Islam came along, before Christianity came along, then people converted. But the larger human bond, the bond of brotherhood and sisterhood, is very strong in this country. We are going past the waves of the Modi horrors that we've been witnessing in our country. He has lost a major election in Bengal. Hopefully, will election in Uttar Pradesh, the largest state. So things are turning around. We have the largest farmers movement in the world, which is taking on the corporate Modi government. So things in India are moving ahead against challenging the fascist regime. The only problem we have is twofold. One is the control over the election commission that Modi has. As he does control over the Supreme Court, the various institutions, we are being reduced to a fascist state, a Nazi kind of regime, where the institutions are all subverted to the junta in the center. The other big problem is the fact that in the Indian elections are done through the electronic voting machines and the VVPATs. That is a problem which we know is controlled by Modi, and it is selectively used. It is not used in every election. But in 2019, undoubtedly, two things happened. One was the Pulwama Balakot attacks were planned and executed by Modi. And I can also tell you that there was cooperation between the Indian RAW and the Pakistani ISI. So the Pakistani ISI does get sold out when they have to. So there was a deal at that level. The Pulwama blast, blowing up 42 of our army men, and then the subsequent fake strike on Balakot. All this was part of the game that created an ultra-nationalist wave. And after that, we had the EVM VVPAT machines that were controlled. And then Modi had his big fancy victory of 300 seats out of 545 in our parliament. That is why we are worried about 2024. That will Modi resort to another terror attack, another false flag, and then win on the behalf of a jingo stick ultra nationalist way. He's done it time and time again when he was chief minister in Gujarat. That's how he kept on coming into power in Gujarat, and he has used that same formula to maintain power at the center. So
Okay,
that
we
is as
were.
far.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that background. You really sketched it very well, given me a better understanding of Indian politics. We were obviously starting out the issue on COVID, how it's managed or been mismanaged in India up to now, and we've veered into politics. But we needed that background information. Thank you for the clarity on that issue. Let's go back to the situation on COVID right now in India. We understand that black fungus has been
Right.
has started proliferating among certain patients. How serious is that condition? Are the medical people working hard to try and rule that out? I also understand the reason for the black fungus appearing is because a lot of the patients who are diabetic are being treated with steroids, and that's not a good match, and the result is the black fungus. Where does the Indian patient sit now with this issue? Is there a plan going ahead? What is that plan? Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Basically, this black fungus, and it is I got to know about it a month ago when one of my friends is running a COVID healthcare hospital about 300 kilometers from Mumbai. She told me about this. She herself is a social activist and a farmer's leader, but she is running this hospital. So essentially, the first reason I came to know that the oxygen that was given to the patients has to travel through water, and that water, if it is contaminated, then this leads to black fungus appearing on the nose, which goes into the eyes and which goes to the brain. And the only way to save the patient is to remove the eyes of the patient. And
Oh,
two patients did lose their eyes in that hospital in Jalgaon. Then we got to know other reasons. As you rightly said, the overuse of steroids, because there is a trial and error run. I mean, Indian patients are just being used like guinea pigs, like lab rats by the establishment in India, the medical establishment in India. So the second reason we got to know is of the use of steroids, the rampant use of steroids, all at the wrong time, because the use of steroids has to be done patient by patient. Not every patient who lies on your bed is meant to be given a steroid. You have to study the history, but that was not being done. And that is why now they're saying that don't give steroids in the first week, give it in the second week. But we have lost so many people because of the lack of oxygen to the untimely use of steroids. The third reason being, a doctor mentioned clearly on NDTV that the way the masks are being used, where people are being made to wear masks for 12 hours, and if those masks are not washed, then those contaminated masks will lead to creating black fungus infections. So you have black fungus, yellow fungus, white fungus, all these kind of fungus that have now emerged. Now there's one other dangerous disease that has emerged. It's called intestinal gangrene, where it is something weird. All these things are unheard of. But again, this is happening because of the kind of treatment that is being, you know, experimented upon people. In terms of black fungus, when they came there's some new injection, amithromycin or something of that sort. Very, very expensive. I don't know how ordinary people, because it's like, I think 5,000 rupees per shot, and it's 5 injections per day, and you have to take it for 8 to 10 days. Ordinary people just cannot afford this kind of medication. They're going to die because the lockdown has shut down their little businesses. They can't work. More 1 crore Indians have lost their jobs in the course of the last year. The Indian economy is -8% of our GDP is down. Massive job losses. The stock market is high, breaking records because the the corporate cabal is investing its money in stocks and shares. So while the Indian economy is in the minus GDP today, our GDP is even less than that of Bangladesh. That is where Modi has actually got us, where he and his crony capitalists are buying of the public sector, privatizing all the major industries that were built post-independence by Jawaharlal Nehru and the leadership of our post-independence era. But whilst the rest of the economy is in shambles. So we have a
Okay,
massive
Feroze.
political, economic crisis on our hands, social crisis on our hands.
It sounds absolutely horrendous. And I
Yes.
admire activists like yourself who are trying your utmost best to try and make sense and to try and support the people, the people that really need the type of support that you're able to give. So let's talk quickly in the few minutes that we do have left about the Aligarh Muslim University supporting COVID patients, because earlier on you indicated that medical practitioners, hospitals, clinics are all very, very corrupt. They have amassed fortunes during this period, but there are some very sensible humanitarian people out there that want to make a difference, people like yourself and people like the Aligarh Muslim University. What exactly is it that they are doing?
Even at the level of hospitals, not that they're all corrupt. The main corruption is in the private establishment, where 80% of India is, where the public sector, government-controlled hospitals are. And in Mumbai and in Maharashtra, my state, we have had some very good intervention by the government. So it is in most South Indian states. In North India, we have had major problems, especially in the BJP-controlled state, the Modi party. The other point being that there's been a lot of private people, effort, civil society
Like-minded people like yourself
yes,
and
yes.
like the
So in Aligarh,
AMU.
yeah, exactly. So in Aligarh Muslim University, we had students and doctors and professors who have actually given their time to go into hospitals and work hard to help patients, because ordinary people are finding it very difficult. As you said, even difficult to burn their dead ones in the fire. It has become even black marketing over there, where there is
Oh,
lines of people who are standing outside the cemeteries to bury their loved ones, and those who don't have the money are dumping the body in the Ganges. That is why you have these hundreds and hundreds of bodies floating in the rivers of India, and again in the north of India, not in the south or in the west or east. So that is the situation. There are two other issues that I'd like to bring to your notice.
sure.
Essentially, uh, we as uh, political analysts and thinkers have made a major breakthrough in the course of the last year. Some of us have been saying that we need to ask this question: is corona a natural virus or a bioweapon? Is it laboratory created or a bioweapon? Of course, the normal targeting started, conspiracy theorists, all are crazy, this, that. But now with Biden forming a committee to look into the origin of the natural or the laboratory created phenomenon, we, as usual, after a long haul of a debate and discussion for which we were banned by Facebook and by Twitter, we were lampooned at every corner. But people like across us in the world have made a major breakthrough, where now the laboratory created bioweapon agenda is now part of the mainstream discussion. I want to request your channel, because I know you all do a great job, to contact Nicholas Wade, who was amongst the people who wrote a very serious article. Nicholas Wade, science editor of the New York Times, I believe. You can look at him. That is Nicholas, Nicholas, and Wade. And the other person you should be finding is Yuri Degin, Yuridegin.
Okay,
Yuri Degin was the first.
I will
Yeah.
get my
And the
producers
last
to get
thing,
those names from you so
yes,
we can follow up
yes.
and do
Yes,
some more
and
talks with them.
so one is we have won the debate on the issue of the this being a bio weapon. I'm very clear it's a bio weapon. This is, as Fauci had warned in 2017, that a virus attack is coming. Bill Gates said in October last year that this is a coronavirus from China will be coming. Either they're very good astrologers, which they are not, or then they are behind the planning, which they are. So that is the point. The second
Okay,
thing I'd
Feroze,
like to say,
very
I'll
quickly,
require one more
please. We
minute.
need to go for an
One more
ad
minute.
break.
One more minute. Or can I come back after that, or then the program is over?
All right. Will you just stand by for us? Let's take an
Yeah.
ad break and we'll come back to you and we'll wrap
Okay,
up. So thank you indeed for your patience.
yes. Yes.
Huda SA is an organization that focuses primarily on assisting communities within the eThekwini region, by collaborating with existing Islamic centers, mosques and madrases. Your contribution goes towards the uplifting of orphans and vulnerable children, including vulnerable families, by assisting with education, welfare, nutrition and maintenance of madrasas, mosques and Islamic community centers. Make the difference. Donate to our noble causes. More information is available at huda-int.org or WhatsApp or call us on 031 271 3049.
My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Never before has humanity faced a pandemic like the COVID-19 virus.
The World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus outbreak as a global pandemic.
Penny Appeal believes in prevention being the cure, and we remain firm in standing by our commitment to support and help those in need.
The border have closed, are very, very affected. So
they are lacking in the supplies.
I hope government can find a solution.
Our response is to provide hardship grants to those experiencing a loss in income in the months to come, and hygiene kits for the vulnerable at home here in South Africa and Syria and Palestine. Show compassion in the midst of crisis. Donate to our coronavirus emergency appeal now. Be proactive. Be aware. Help save a life. Donate today. Call 031 1100 573 or donate via www.pennyappeal.org.za. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
Feroze Mithiborwala, a social activist based in India, is talking to us about a whole host of issues based in India. We're now talking about, obviously, COVID-19. We spoke about politics, and they're all integrated, they're all interrelated. You can't separate the one from the other. But Feroze, you do have one or two very important points that you want to wrap up with, but I do want to get you back on air. I want to talk to you about the environment, the dead bodies, and all of those type of impacts on the population. But the two important issues that you want to wrap up with this morning, please go ahead.
In fact, I'll go with the dead body issue and because the problem is that the suffering of the people is so much in India right now. But the Modi government, and especially the Yogi government in the largest state, Uttar Pradesh, where now it has become practically illegal for anyone to complain about a lack of hospital bed, lack of oxygen, or not being able to burn their dead bodies. It has become a total kind of a fascist crackdown on certain states controlled by the BJP, because Modi doesn't want any negative publicity. He's created his entire image, and that is they're trying to maintain. It's not happening because the social media, there are YouTube channels, there are certain honest journalists as well within certain channels, which is breaking the story apart. So it's just because people are hurting so much, you can't manage the media beyond a certain extent. So that is important. The other issue I would come to is that we are heading for now what is the third wave in India, the fourth wave in Vietnam, the third wave in Britain, the second wave in Chile and in Seychelles. So what all is happening? Britain is one of the most vaccinated countries. Seychelles has gone beyond 60%. Chile has gone beyond 60%. Vietnam has had a high percentage of vaccination. Britain, as we know, the most touted of the vaccine countries. India is heading for its third wave. There is a correlation between vaccination and the waves that are coming. And this again is being told by one of the leading vaccinologists of the world, he's a PhD holder, Dr. Gert van der Bosch of Belgium, where he's saying that this level of vaccination during a pandemic is utter madness. We are creating more and more mutants because the best way to deal with it is that your own antibodies, or then you vaccinate a certain section of the population. The antibodies are created and they deal with the virus and the virus goes. But the levels to which we are vaccinating the entire globe, the antibodies that are created, they are leading to more mutants and variations which are escaping from you, which is called vaccine shedding, and then leading to waves and waves of more and more mutants and variations that are coming.
So we're creating our own, absolutely creating our own problems.
Yes.
Feroze, that's where we have to leave it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Fascinating talking to you. I hope that we can talk again soon. Shukran for your time. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
That was Feroze Mithiborwala. He is an Indian activist who obviously devotes his efforts to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and Western imperialism in Asia. It's 10:01 exactly, brings us to the end of the show for today. Thank you indeed for your company. Till tomorrow at the same time as always, take care, mask up, sanitize, and social distance. Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Alli.